So Mr. Beer here with your class recap for this Wednesday, February 20th. Hard to believe we're already almost through February. Um, this month, which is usually slow, seems to be flying, seems to be flying by, which is alright by me. But we started today with our bell ringer, which was to write 3 things that we know about poetry. It could be anything that it can sometimes rhyme to, it's in lines, or there's lots of different types. It's measured by meter and feet. Anything that you know, because we are starting with this poetry unit as if you know nothing. I know many of you, probably most of you, have touched upon poetry in elementary school and middle school in some form, but we are just going to go in fresh like we don't know a single thing about poetry, and we're approaching this thing like it's something totally new to us. And I think that's kind of fun. We start at the beginning, and what I love about this unit is that it just is full of creativity. Students come up with the most creative writings that they may have all year in this unit, and so I really look forward to this particular part of the curriculum. And we're calling this unit Poetry, not to sound like Cartman from Southwark, you will respect my poetry, but because the main focus is on you trying, is on you giving it a good faith effort, even if you're not a master. None of us are going to be masters of poetry at this point, but we're going to give it our best shot, and we're going to try lots of different types of poetry. And like I said, we're going to start at the beginning, and the absolute beginning is creating a poetry portfolio. So all of your works will be collected in this binder that I provided for the students, so that they can have a almost publishable quality folder to turn in their works. They will be writing lots and lots of different types of poems, but only a select few are going to be turned in publishable form, meaning that you will have reworked. So you'll take, let's say we write 20 poems. From that 20, you'll pick your 10 best, and you will polish them, and you will edit them, and they will make it into this portfolio. From that 10 that you turned in for a grade, you will then take your very best, and you'll submit that for the poetry contest that all of the English 9 students will be participating in. And students will read their poems and recite their poems out loud, the one poem that they have chosen to do so, and from there we will pick a winner. But the main idea is that you will, by the end of this unit, have created an entire poetry portfolio. And students today designed the cover sheet for their portfolios. All they needed was the title and their name, and then some sort of color and artistic drawing if they so choose. It could be anything creative. This particular student is going with a sci-fi theme. But the whole idea of this unit, again, is creativity and having fun within the parameters of the poetry rules. So like I said, we'll start from the beginning. We're going to look at basic poetry terms. One of the first terms we're going to look at is personification, which is giving human characteristics to inanimate objects or non-human things. For example, the stars dance playfully in the moonlit sky. Stars cannot dance, people dance. But this is just to create a mood for the scene. She did not realize that opportunity was knocking at her door. Opportunity cannot knock, but it is a figure of speech. And the next poetry term is alliteration, which is the repetition of the same or similar consonant sounds at the beginning of words. Just a reminder, consonants are anything that is not a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. And as the repetition is at the beginning of the word. Here's an example. Peter Piper picked the pickled peppers. That P sound repeated throughout the tongue twister is an example of alliteration. Sally sells seashells by the seashore is another such example. Our first portfolio requirement is to write a fictional story about an animal using personification and as much alliteration as possible. What that means is we're starting slowly, and it doesn't even have to be a poem. It can be a story, which is a little easier to write sometimes when you're getting into the poetry for the first time. But it can be kind of nonsense. You know, for example, Timmy the turquoise turtle talked terribly tough at the trailer park. Turtles are terrific, Timmy told two toucans. The toucans taught Taekwondo Tuesdays, and they thought Timmy was a tease. Timmy the turtle tried to talk about Taekwondo, but too much talking troubled the toucans. So you can see this T sound repeated over and over again throughout this kind of nonsense story, but it's funny and it's cute and it's creative. But we're focusing again on personification, giving these animals human characteristics, and alliteration. For the sake of making things easy on the students, we just had them highlight the first letter in every example of alliteration and then just counted those up to get to 50. You know, students complained because they thought 50 was a lot, but as they got into it, they thought it was kind of fun. You know, something just kind of creative and silly, while still practicing using personification and alliteration. So in this student's work here, you can see she's got all of the S's highlighted that she had as she used alliteration. Sammy the Silver Snake said something to Sassy. So you can see that was an example with that incomplete. So if you're absent, your job is to create a cover image for your portfolio, and to write a story about an animal using personification and as much alliteration as possible. That's it for today. Thanks for listening.